Do you have any just kind of general thoughts on the VPN industry? Is there any trends that you've noticed happening? As the industry, it's obviously gotten bigger. Any thoughts on, what the future might look like for VPNs?
Yeah. I mean, it's a very competitive industry.
Hmm.
It's um, a lot of marketing and a lot of competitors and people fighting for the same sorts of customers. So it's a bit, uh, in my opinion, with the shady actors. Um, yeah. But I think that, I mean, typically, when people say, like, how should they choose a VPN provider? We say, like, all right, you need to research someone that works for your threat model or your needs, but it also puts a lot of responsibility on the actual user,
Hmm.
um, because I think it's quite difficult for users to be able to thoroughly review VPN providers and see how do they differ, because they seem pretty similar when you just look at the surface.
Hmm.
So I think there's going to be need to be changes in terms of how we can convey better that there is a difference between VPN providers, because it's a fairly um, difficult thing to do.
Right. Yeah. In a lot of ways, I agree. I think that when products do appear similar, in a lot of ways, it just kind of comes down to marketing and, people who are using VPNs for privacy and transparency and stuff. It's not necessarily like what marketing is about, right? Marketing is about kind of getting people to buy things quickly. It's about kind of making your product seem more than it is. So I do think it's kind of an interesting dichotomy there between a product that bases itself on transparency and privacy and security, and then you have all these marketing aspects. It definitely gets kind of. I definitely see how it could get confusing for people trying to pick the right VPN. Um,
Yeah, and it's also difficult to reach out to potential customers. I mean, if you don't care about privacy, the aspect, I mean, those VPN providers have so many trackers on their websites, so they can do retargeting and reach out to them and do similar audiences. So
mhm.
they can really blast out their message. While if we take our customers and users' privacy seriously, we don't want them to be able to be retargeted or tracked over the internet. So
That's
there
a
are
good.
really a lot of complexities around reaching out if you're privacy conscious.
Yeah, so your argument could be then, the more private and secure your VPN is, the harder it is to, do some of these marketing or just get more customers, right? That is actually one of the things that kind of drew me about oVPN initially is that I think you guys have like zero Android trackers right on your application.
Yeah,
And,
the only
not,
thing we so we can keep track of crashes.
mm, and not many people, a lot of VPNs have a lot more trackers, a lot more things going on behind the scenes, a lot more permissions. It gets pretty crazy. Um, that kind of leads me into my next point. What do you think would be probably like the most important characteristics for like a customer to think about when choosing a VPN? Here on my channel, I've kind of broken it up into like six categories. Um,
I think it's a super difficult question because it really depends on the use case of the customer.
mhm,
Do they want to use it for streaming or do they want to use it for privacy?
mhm,
If it's streaming, I think definitely the application and streaming compatibilities are super important because you just want ease of use.
mhm,
If for privacy, I think there are other items that might be worth investigating. Um, Running some scripts to see does the kill switch actually work? How are DNS leaks handled, and stuff like that. But it's a very complex thing to do, and I think you're doing a very good job at it. But it's really difficult because you have so many different use cases and people, and you need to build a product that works for at least some of them,
mhm.
some of those. Um, but I mean, customer support is also really important because it's a complex product to discuss and not really use anymore. It's fairly simple to use, but it's a complex product to understand because you can't see it. You
Mhm.
can't see network traffic being encrypted.
Right, right.